This podcast contains adult language and stories of true crime. If you don't like laughing, crying, or being horrified at the actions of other humans, this podcast is not for you.
Okay, this isn't just for Patreons. This is on our public feed.
Oh, shoot. Hey, guys. We're normal. We're totally normal.
We're normal.
We are so normal. Welcome to a listener short stack. If this is your first listener short stack that you're listening to, this isn't a normal episode. It's just a little mini episode where we read different listener emails and talk about things. So enjoy. This is Eliza, and I'm going to read an email from Melanie about her own nostalgia. So she says, I heard an ad for this podcast on another one. I can't quite remember which one, possibly The Greatest Generation. And I'm working my way through from the beginning. I used to watch this show on Fox's Saturday Night Search Party, where it aired back to back with some other shows whose name escapes me that was more focused on the paranormal. Ugh, so creepy. I was about 9 or 10 at the time, and the theme music for this show used to put my stomach in such knots that after I shut off the TV, I'd have to go to sleep on my mother's bedroom floor because I felt so freaked out.
Honey.
Even replaying the music in my head would make me anxious. But I insisted on staying up late every week to watch it anyway. It's been such a treat to relive the weird little microcosm of my life that is even though I can hardly remember any specifics of any episodes.
Oh my God, that's actually both of your experience.
Yeah,
seriously.
That's exactly how I feel. I was just young enough.
May you keep up the good work and continue to solve the unsolved. And she goes on, she says, I'm a Rhode Island resident and thought it would be really fun to send you a Woonsocket postcard.
Yes.
Woonsocket is from episode
It might be 3.
It's episode 3 because, yes.
No, 3 is
sorry.
Yeah, that's it.
But postcards, so she says, but postcards are a dying species and Woonsocket is not a tourist destination. So such a thing doesn't exist. Your Instagram friend was right. It's the worst. It's mostly characterized by poverty and by extension, alcoholism, drug addiction, and related crimes.
Woonsocket.
And she said, look at me, the Washington Post, and sent us a link. But Rhode Island does have other equally fun-sounding place names. Nooseneck Hill Road, Devil's Foot Road, Horseneck Road. What is with the necks? So that was from Melanie. In her first paragraph, I feel like a lot of people listening will share her experience of being too freaked out by the music.
Yes.
But then there's this thing in your brain that's like, but I can't not watch it, even though it scares me so much.
Yeah. That's what watching something scary is.
And Woonsocket's weird.
Yes.
In conclusion.
So Woonsocket was episode 3. It's Susan Laferte and Doreen Picard.
Yeah.
But if you live in a town or near a town that has like a funny name, send us a postcard.
Tell us.
Oh, yeah, we love postcards.
We love it.
And whose segment was that? Yours?
That was mine.
When you were telling it, Carlin and I thought you were saying wound socket.
Like
which is the
WOUND.
grossest.
No, it's Woonsocket. I remember your reaction and thinking, I mean, it's a funny name, but it's not that big a deal.
Not that bad.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks, Melanie.
Thanks, Melanie. So this is a message from a listener named Althea via email. And she says, hey, Resolvers. First off, I want to say you guys make my workday a million times better. I was listening to you as I type away at my work. My town has an unsolved mystery. It's the disappearance of Shane Workman. He has been missing since April 29th, 2017, and there's been no luck in finding him. There were no posts on his Facebook, and then one random post in January 2019, but it came with no actual comment from him. It was just a video of a guy dancing with a gun, and he was smoking something.
Ew.
This was just a shared video, not a homemade video. That's fucking weird.
That's so
to
weird.
share on someone's missing page. Back in April of 2017, he was walking to Sheetz with a Z.
With a Z.
Okay, I hate that. A gas station and convenience store. He was apparently going for food and never came back. We have a link that we have a bunch of links that we're going to share for this case, but Althea was nice enough to provide us with some links. The link to Crime Watchers has a lot of information from this case. There's a Facebook group called Shane Workman Search Party. It has a lot of posts spanning from when he first went missing up to a few days ago. The newest suspicion about his whereabouts is that someone tied something to his ankle and dropped him in a lake in Juanita County, but no one knows what lake it could be because there are a lot of lakes in that area.
Whoa.
The family also has heard a rumor that he ran away and he just wants to be left alone. I do not. I, Allison, am speaking now. I do not think that that is real. Yeah. No one knows for sure what is true and what is just a rumor, and the family, as any would want to know just what happened to him. He was 31 at that time. He would be 33 or 34 now. The family isn't very tech savvy, and the LPD, the Lewistown Police Department, haven't been much help from what I could tell from comments made in the Facebook group. Shane's father is still offering a reward for his whereabouts. This unsolved mystery of this town is forgotten by most of the town. I personally didn't know him. I just knew of him when the flyers started getting posted around about him being missing. Thank you for your awesome podcast, guys.
Wow.
This is a really sad story. There's not a lot besides what Althea wrote to us. The case is super bizarre. I found a police blotter item. Oh my God.
A police blotter island?
Yeah, let's live there. Let's go and live on Police Blotter Island.
Dream vacation. I hope it's tropical.
Oh, fuck me. It's not.
Who knows what it is?
It's probably like dark.
What is that
gray.
climate?
I did find a police blotter item from a local newspaper from about a year before he went missing. He was involved in a car crash at 10:45 a.m. on March 16, 2016. The police report stated that Shane Workman of Lewistown was driving a Nissan Maxima west on 333 when, for unknown reasons, crossed the double yellow center line, crossed the opposite lane of traffic,
Oh, geez.
off the south edge of the roadway, and struck a utility pole.
Oh, God.
Then his car spun counterclockwise and struck an embankment and speed limit sign. But there was no alcohol involved in the crash. So I think it's interesting that this person was sober. They were involved in this really horrific crash. I don't know why. I don't know if he fell asleep or if he was on medication or what was going on.
Wow.
But that I was able to find that, and that's about it.
That was, when was that?
That was a year before he went missing.
Okay.
And I don't know enough about him or this case to speculate, obviously. We have the missing poster, and we'll post that. And then the phone number, if you know anything about Shane Workman from Lewistown, Pennsylvania, the phone number is 717-513-5645. And I just thought it was super sad that there's hardly any coverage on this story.
Yeah.
Because he's an adult male who just went missing, you know, like how they're not going to give that much attention to that. But he was a son and, you know, he was loved.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And he was just gone. So, yeah, if you have any information, please call the number. And thank you, Althea, for writing in.
Yeah, thank you.
Is it me? Okay. So this is from Josh via email. It says, first of all, I love that you folks are doing this podcast, and you got me immediately after I heard your ad on Greatest Gen. My wife and I talked about how we wish someone would do this the moment we found Unsolved Mysteries on Amazon.
Yeah.
We both loved the show when we were kids, and it sparked a memory in me that was a snug piece into the jumbled childhood I had. So if you'll bear with me, I'll tell the tale. I was born in 1982 in Fremont, California. My sister was born in 1986, also in Fremont. And within months of her being born, we moved to Kirkland, Washington. Between the ages of 8 and 10, 1990 and 1992, I began watching Unsolved Mysteries, mainly for the aliens, ghosts, and Bigfoots.
We're getting right into those years, honey.
Yes, honey. As a child, I didn't much care about the frauds and killers, but as I grew up with the show, I began to wonder why we moved north so quickly and seemingly out of nowhere.
Ooh.
I asked my mom why we left California, and I was always told that we vacationed up there before, and it was really beautiful, so we decided to move. Seemed a reasonable explanation to me. I was a kid. What did I know about anything?
Oh, no.
Of course, as I got older and watched more Unsolved Mysteries, I began to wonder if one of my parents could be involved in something that required us to run away. It was always in the back of my head, but what could it possibly be? My parents were just like anyone else's, right? Well, no. It wasn't until later that other people had pointed out to me that my father treated me more like an employee than a son. It wasn't until later that friends had told me that my father made racist jokes about my Hispanic heritage to my friends' fathers.
Oh, no.
It wasn't until later I began to recognize the emotional manipulation from both my mother and father, often pitting me against the other. One of my earliest memories is a mantra my mother would tell me, grow up to be a better man than your father, which at the time seemed to me as an uplifting, you can do anything. To pull this all back around, Unsolved Mysteries was the first hint that something wasn't quite right. It was that first spark of critical thinking at a young age that helped me to endure what was to come. No one was killed, so there's that. However, there are hints of mob ties that connect from my mom to her father in New York. So if you're ever looking for stuff to research, feel free to see if you can find out the history of George Skip Lentz, because I can't find much. Keep up the great pod. Good wine and vengeance, Josh.
Wow.
Yeah. So he and we talked a little bit, and I think it was really important to him to communicate the importance of recognizing emotional abuse.
Yeah.
And it seems like he went through a really rough time with his parents and would have never sort of tuned into it if it hadn't been watching these true crime shows or Unsolved Mysteries and stuff like that. Yeah. So him and his sister they're doing okay. I made sure before I put this in.
Yeah.
And I really love that he closed it with good wine and vengeance, because we thought that was going to
be our sign off.
that was going to be our sign off, and then we forgot.
Oh, wow. I do like that, like, kids are not allowed to watch a lot of these shows, but often kids are stronger than we think, or they maybe need that more than we realize. And
Yeah.
I don't know.
Totally.
They're way more in tune than you think they are,
Yeah.
or than people think they are, and then it takes something like this to sort of trigger, like he said, critical thinking, a critical mind, where you wonder,
everything
like,
is
not everyone is a good person.
That's right.
and like, oh, wow, okay, we keep moving, but no one else is moving. Why are we moving? You know? Thank you, Josh, for sharing that story. So our next thing, which I was supposed to talk about, but the three of us are clearly going to talk about it because we're so excited, was last week we got some mail from our listener, Chelsea, and her fiance, Ian. And they sent us a save the date for their wedding.
Well, first her letter was like, we love you guys. She was so very, very nice. And she's like, my fiance and I have talked about inviting you to our wedding. And then...
Well, she was like, it's been our running joke for a
running
while
joke.
that we should, because we listen together, we should invite you guys.
Yes.
I love it.
Because
they really did.
They're in Portland, too. And then Carlin had the other envelope that was in the package, and she was like, they did invite us.
So while we're unwrapping all of these goodies, that also, you guys, Chelsea, and you didn't have to send us goodies.
And a book that she found.
Yes,
She sent us a true crime book.
Yeah.
And then she also sent us 3 really cute Unsolved Mysteries
pins.
pins.
Yes.
Which, funny story, I gave the girls for Christmas.
Yeah, so great minds think alike.
Yes, great minds. We love the pins, obviously.
Now we wear them. Now we have more articles of clothing that can be covered in them.
We can keep one at work, one at home. We'll just have plenty of options.
And the engagement photo is so cute because I feel like it was definitely shot in a bookstore. I don't know if it was Powell's.
I bet it's Powell's.
I'm thinking too.
Yeah, super cute.
Yeah. And then after we released this week's last episode, she tweeted, you know, when you're waiting for your favorite podcasters to talk about the thing you sent them.
Oh
we're going to.
Yes. Thank you so much, Chelsea.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And
Ian. And if we can't make it to the wedding, because that's actually KB's birthday weekend. Yeah. We're going to send you guys some goodies because that was the sweetest thing. And I just feel like you're not really a podcast until you get to save the date, you know?
Totally.
Also, it's going up on my fridge just like you're my child. I love it.
We love it. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So this one is from Merritt on Facebook. It says, so I just started listening to your podcast last week and I'm finishing up #NotAllTanCars. I cannot stop listening. I am an abortion care provider in Louisiana, which, as you can imagine, is always a care-intensive and stress-heavy job.
Honey.
But especially so right now with everything going on in the courts in the state capitals of the South and Midwest. Mm-hmm. I grew up watching Unsolved Mysteries reruns Friday nights with my brothers, and y'all's podcast could not have come into my life with all its nostalgic glory at a better time. I love how thoughtful you are in your representation of people's struggles and how authentic you all sound. I have so many other things to say about you lovely badass ladies, but this post is already long, so I'm a stop.
I love the way she writes.
Oh,
heart.
Honey.
Yes, we respect Merritt for doing the work that she does and how much we empathize with how hard it is to do something like that in a demographic like that. So, yeah.
We forget about the bubble we live in sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Totally.
Yeah, so Merritt, thank you so much for writing, and please trust that. Ooh.
we love you and we need you.
Yes.
We
So
need
please
people
don't
like you.
stop. We'll keep making our podcast if you keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
So this is from Kate via email. I found your podcast on Monday. Now it's Thursday, and I've listened to all the episodes so far and immediately joined your Patreon. Thank you, girl.
Thank you.
I'm an artist, also on Patreon, and but I work a full-time job for the government. Boo. Weeding through prison records, and I listen to podcasts while I work. I grew up on Unsolved Mysteries and remember watching it a lot with my grandmother, which in combination with the X-Files started my obsession with serial killers, mysteries, and anything creepy.
Yes.
My grandmother passed away last year after a long battle with Alzheimer's disease. But when you gals start talking about ghosts and Bigfoot, I swear on everything sacred, I can hear her saying, "What a load of horse shit," which I remember her saying during certain segments of the TV show.
Honey.
We understand.
We are so with your grandma. I just wanted to tell you that my ears perked up when you covered the story of Marvin Irvin, the killer in St. Joseph, Missouri. I went to college in St. Joseph, and it's where I met my husband, not Marvin.
Are you sure?
Girl, did you run a background check? Call us. I had never heard of the murders he committed and was writing down all the names of the victims for further research. I wanted to let you know that St. Joseph's State Hospital, where Micki Jo West worked, is now Glore Psychiatric Museum. I spent a few bored days between classes at the museum looking at the weirdest exhibits I've ever seen. Google the museum to see creepy mannequins in awkward poses in old-timey garb. Thank you a million times over for the podcast you've created. I'm in love, and my sanity thanks you. Love forever, Kate.
Girl, you are one of us.
Oh my God. Yes, we need to go to the
Seriously.
museum.
We have to go to that
What is
museum.
this museum?
She
We
actually
must.
did follow up that with an email that had some pictures.
She did?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see them.
Yeah,
What?
she sent pictures of some of the
just
weird
gonna
shit
Google
they
it.
have there, and yes, we want to go.
Creepy.
Oh no. Oh, no.
Wait, which one are you looking at? Show me.
Just mannequins with like electrodes attached to their head.
Like,
Yeah.
ew, there's a bathtub with a head in it.
Oh, what? This is a museum? Okay.
I love it. I want to see it.
All right. Well, let's go to the Glore Psychiatric Museum. Well, thank you. We're absolutely going to fall into a rabbit hole of all the terrible things that happened during the darkest times of the psychiatric museum.
Yeah. Jeez. Thank you.
All right. Go ahead, book club.
All
It's
right.
you, Eliza. You are the book club.
You are not the book club. We are all the book club. I'm part of
Harlan
it.
is not in the book club.
I just read this book a long time ago, and then I
feel-
reread it, like sped read it, in order to participate in this.
I feel that a lot of people are not the book club for this book.
So, Into the Water was our June book club book for Resolved Mysteries book club. And not everyone loved it. Nobody loved it. Not everyone liked it. Most people didn't like it.
I think it was just a little confusing, and you know, when you're in the warm, toasty sun, you're sitting by the
That's
pool,
true.
like you don't really want to be confused.
Yeah, and so many people read Girl on the Train by Paula Hawkins,
Yeah.
who also writes this, and I think we just had really high hopes. So I guess what a lot of people said, we didn't really get anyone write in like anything super specific to put in, but what a lot of people said was there's just a lot of narrators. I didn't read it fast enough. Like I should have tried to read it in 1 or 2 sittings, but I didn't. I kept putting it down, and so then I was so confused when I would pick it back up, and I hate books like that because I like being really pulled in, which
Yeah.
is how I was on Girl on the Train.
It was
So
a bit hard to follow.
Yeah,
it was. I'm glad I read it because I think I would have read it anyway because I like her a lot. But anyway, that's it. Anything else about Into the Water?
I don't think so. I
Okay.
think we heard the same thing over and over again, and
we
that's
understand.
fine.
We
Yeah,
didn't
that's
write it. It's
okay.
not in our fault.
There seems to be a lot more excitement surrounding the next 2 books. So
Yes.
Yeah. So just a reminder, our July book was After the Eclipse by Sarah Perry. Send us your thoughts on After the Eclipse if you read it. A lot of you have been reading it and have been really excited about it. So
And then also, I just realized because of our hiatus, we're not going to talk about After the Eclipse for a while.
okay, so you have more time.
Yeah. So if you want to talk to us about After the Eclipse,
I mean, there ain't no rules. We don't care.
yeah, we don't listen.
Who are we kidding?
We don't give a shit.
And then
We give a shit about the books,
yeah.
but we don't give a shit about when you talk about them.
No.
So just write us
Just try and do it.
Yeah.
And then August is Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens, which a lot of you have already read. And
Yes.
if you haven't, you're excited like we are. I am so excited.
Me too.
Yeah, this has been a listener short stack. You can send us your shit by emailing us. If you want to hear this early, like some of our patrons have already done, you can go to patreon.com/Resolved Mysteries podcast. Carlin's laughing at me.
Well, you're going to have to find a time machine.
Well, the next one.
If you want to hear this early,
This very one.
hop in that time machine, press that big red button.
It's always red. Patrons get these episodes early, so you could do that too, plus extra content. Most importantly, please send us your letters and emails for listener short stacks so we can keep making them at resolvedmysteriesPodcast@gmail.com, or you can send us snail mail like some of our honeys did. And our P.O. Box is 14005, Portland, Oregon 97293. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
I'm not doing that. Goodbye.
How about this? Thanks.
For
Listening.
Bye. That was perfect.
Okay, medium. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Let me get it.
I thought you were like, this is in a short stack. Bye.
Bye, bitch. I came to slay, bitch. Okay.